Hello guys, my name is Alex, I'm new to YouTube, I don't even have an intro yet, so I'm not gonna waste your time and I'm just gonna show you how to make a Flappy Bird. And before I begin, I need to prepare my sprite sheet. I'm gonna change sprite mode to multiple, change pixel per unit to 16 and make sure there is no compression and no filter. I'll slice it and hit apply. After that I just need to find bird and rename it to something like player. Now I can create animator controller, name it player and drag it to the player. Just to organize things a little bit, I'm gonna make animations folder and drag my controller there, and in the very same folder I'm gonna create animation fly. Now I just need these sprites to make Flappy Bird actually be flappy. I'll set sample rate to something like 12 and voila! It's a Flappy Bird! Nice! Now I'm gonna change screen size to make it vertical, and right after that I'm gonna take my player, add capsule collider, and after adjusting size of capsule collider I'm gonna add rigid body to it, so it will actually behave like a physical object. Change gravity scale to 4 and create a script which I'll name just player. Now, in this approach of making Flappy Bird, I just wanna write as less code as possible and make it as simple as I can. I'm gonna get rigid body and some float which will represent my jump force, or in this case, fly force. In the update on input of any key, I'm gonna change rigid body velocity by new vector 2, and it will have same x as before, just 0, and it will be fly force on the y. Now let me test it. I'm gonna take my player script, drag rigid body and change fly force to something like 5, and I'll test it. And indeed it's working, just I need to balance it a little bit. So maybe gravity scale and fly force should be adjusted as I like, or as you like in case of your game. Well, to me this is perfect. No, not perfect. This is perfect. Is it? 7. 7 is perfect.
7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7.
And if your first thought was who is that woman and who would ever consider this video funny, it means you were just born much later than I was. And now we know each other a little bit better. And if you don't mind, to make a stronger bond,
James Bond.
in the comments you can let me know how old are you. And also I would really like to know, do you like this type of the videos or you would prefer much more in-depth step-by-step tutorial? Alright, now it's time to create pipes, the obstacles for the bird, so I'll just create empty object, pipes, and I'll drag my pipes there. 1 and 2. Now I'm gonna change their names to make it top pipe, and I guess it will be bottom pipe. Now I'll drag them under object pipes to make them children of the object and place them at the top and at the bottom. And I'm gonna change this y to the whole number because I don't like decimals. And to me they look kinda big, so I wanna make them smaller, so I'll change their scale to 0.8, 0.8, 0.8. And again, I hate decimals, but there's nothing I can do about it. I need them to be small. Let's just adjust y a little bit, and I guess number 6 and -6 will be perfect for us. Now I'll just set position to 0, 0, 0 and add new script, which I'll name just pipe. And I bet I can make them move with one line of code. Bam! Smack in the face, here it is, as I told you. And my mom told me I cannot be wild. Booyaka! Now, actually I need another line of code because I want to be able to change speed in the inspector, but let's face it, still looks nice. After giving move speed in the inspector, pipes moving to the left, just as I need. Now it's time to create pipe manager that will spawn pipes for me with a certain cooldown. And I'm gonna create script with the same name, pipe manager, drag it to the game object, and inside I'm gonna get reference to the game object of the pipe, and I need public float to know cooldown for the pipe respawn. And now I'm gonna create another function that I'm gonna call create pipe. And inside I'm gonna create new temporary game object which will be equals to instantiated object pipe with a new position of vector 3, and I'm gonna give it 10 on the x, so pipe will spawn from the right side of everything we have on the screen. Now I'm gonna go to start function and call invoke repeating with the string name of the function. It will begin immediately, so I'll just type here 0, and repeat rate I'll set to the cooldown. Now let's go back to the Unity, take our pipes and drag it to the assets folder. In this way we're gonna create prefab of our pipes. Now, to explain what is a prefab, I'll ask you to imagine that first car was created and used as a prefab, and now we have thousands of different cars, but still it's the same car. That's how we're gonna use pipe as well. Now I'm gonna select pipe manager and drag my pipe over there. I'm gonna change cooldown to something I like. For example, it's gonna be 3. And I feel like my pipes are moving too fast, so I'm gonna choose my prefab and change move speed from 6 to 2. Alright, now I wanna make this game somewhat difficult, so I'm gonna check highest and lowest position for the pipes. That looks fine. After that I'm gonna go to the script, and inside I'll create two public floats for minimum y and maximum y, and default value will be 1.5 and minus 1.5. And then in the create pipe function, I'm gonna create temporary variable, which is random from minimum y position to maximum y position. And then I wanna replace this 0 with a new random y. Alright. Now, if you wanna make it harder, you can increase range between minimum and maximum y. And meanwhile, I'm gonna make pipes disappear after some time. And for that, I'm just gonna give it one line of code that says destroy new pipe after 7 seconds. Now we have that settled, I wanna make game look nice, so I'm gonna drag background to the scene, rename it to the background, and because my background looks bigger and does not fit in the camera, I wanna actually just change the camera a little bit. I don't wanna change background, so I'll choose my camera and I'll set size to 8. Now it fits perfectly. Now I'll choose my background and I'll set sorting layer to -10, so it will be behind of everything. After that, what I wanna do is to give it a ground. And this ground better be animated to give it some nice cool effect of moving forward. And what I'm gonna do for that, I'm gonna duplicate my picture, rename it to the ground, and open it in the paint. And I'm doing this in paint on purpose, so you won't have any excuse not try it yourself. Alright, just cut out the ground carefully, and just save the picture and go back to Unity, select the ground itself, and I need to change sprite mode to single, and now, and this is important, pay attention here, wrap mode should be set to repeat. And I'm gonna slow down here a little bit cause
Shit just got real!
now we created material, setting shader to unlit texture, dragging ground to the texture, yeah, creating 3D quad, name it as a ground and drag new material right here. And now, watch this. After changing offset, ground moves. In the new script named ground, I'm just getting reference to the mesh renderer and changing its main texture offset on the X with the speed multiplied by time delta time. Drag script on the game object and just change speed to something like 2. No wait, 0.2. And what we have here looks just amazing. Now we need score in the game, and simply in the player script I'm gonna add new int score and add new function on trigger enter with the collision tag score point. I'm gonna give score ++. Just now go into the pipe, create a new game object, score point, creating a tag, score point, and adding a box collider to this score point. Did you get what we created here? Yeah, it's a score point. Alright, now don't be silly as I am, and don't forget to add is trigger, and of course we need to change tag to score point. Now I actually want to see this score in the game, so I'm gonna create UI canvas with a text element which is named score text. And in the player script itself, I'm gonna get reference to the Unity Engine UI, create public text and change it on trigger enter, and make a reference to that in the inspector. And now we have our score calculated and we can see it on the screen. Now I want a player to lose sometimes at least, so I'm gonna give else statement on trigger enter, and this time it will be no condition, just if it's any other trigger then time will stop. Now I'm gonna create box collider trigger for ground and for top pipe and bottom pipe, and it's working. Next step would be create end screen, what player will see when he loses the game. So I'll create empty object under the canvas, and inside of this empty object named end screen, I'll create a button that I'll use for restarting the game. Now I'll make this button pretty, and in the image I'll just select nice image for that, and also I want to create game over so it looks much better. Now inside of a player script, I'm gonna create public game object end screen that I'm going to switch on whenever a player gets on trigger enter that is not score point. Now going back to Unity, I just drag end screen right there to the player, switch it off, and look.
Oh my god! Wow!
Now this button doesn't work. So I'm gonna add script on the canvas that I'm gonna call game manager, so it has this nice icon. I'll create a simple script with the function game restart, and it will allow me to restart game on click. Now let's select this button, hit plus, drag canvas over here and find game manager, game restart. And I'm gonna use same logic I used for end screen. I'm gonna create start screen game object, and I'll create function game start, which will switch off elements of the start screen. And I wanna do same as well for pipe manager, so it will create pipes only when game began. Oh, and I just realized that my variables has capital letter at the beginning. This should not be happening. Let me fix it real quick by pressing Ctrl RR to change name all across the scripts. And back in Unity, I'm gonna drag this game objects in the inspector. And now when I begin my game, elements disappear. And if you wonder why my bird didn't fall before I pressed tab to start, it's because in the start function I set gravity scale to 0, and in the game start I set gravity scale back to 3. And this is very important, we also need to set time.timescale to 1 at the start function. Perfect. Now guys, if you like what you saw here and you feel like it's somewhat useful, please subscribe to my channel and check what I prepared for you in the description section under the video. Like recently I released my Udemy course and I opened my Patreon page, so if you feel like supporting humble creator, I would really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next video. Chicka pow! Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel.